Good evening, and it's Lily from Heal Scotland, back again today to talk about the phenomenal healing that we're creating in Skye in the winter. And tonight with me, I've got Gemma Collins, who's one of Scotland's few female Wim Hof instructors. And Gemma is running courses in Troon and all over the place, actually, aren't you? And she's coming to Skye to run a retreat for us, a weekend retreat for us. Gemma, how are you doing?
I'm absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much.
Good.
I've actually just had a nice bath there just about an hour ago.
Oh, did you? Where did you?
Yeah. Well, one of my friends had said she wasn't feeling very well, so I went round to her house. We had 4 rounds of breath work for her and her friend, and then we had the ice bath. And then I thought, I'll just go in this myself, so I'm not long in the door. So yeah, they had a wee private fundamentals tonight.
Fantastic. That's such a good thing to do, because a lot of people are, a little bit nervous, aren't they, the first time? Do you want to give us a wee introduction about how you got into, before we go into the full explanation of the Wim Hof Method, can you give us a little intro as to how you got into it?
Yes. In 2019, I lost my mother, and then I lost my best friend within 12 weeks, and I genuinely couldn't cope. I just could not cope. And I had already knew about the cold water more so, and I just decided to go straight into a waterfall. And I didn't know anything about the science or the breath work or the method or anything, but I just felt so bad. And I thought, right, so I went straight into the Glen Falls in Dorey, and I felt so calm, so peaceful. And I just, at first it just gave me, it could just calm me right down. So from there, I just realised that that was the only way I could. It was the only way I could cope, actually. I felt so terrible. And then it was from there I started researching, I started learning and developing. And it wasn't very long after that I started watching Your Good Self, as well as many others, Lilia, because I was just looking for how could I feel better like myself without any antidepressants or any tablets or anything like that. So that was where my journey began. And then from there, I just developed so much.
I think, I did a post that obviously resonated with a lot of people today about grief. I wasn't actually looking for sympathy, and I'm feeling a lot better. But I think, just like you described there, your mum and your best friend in such a short period of time, sometimes the waves come just too close together, and we've not quite had time to calibrate one loss before you move on to another. And that's kind of the way it's been for me in the last year. And funnily enough, my cousin and I, we both do a lot of cold water. And when our mums died around about the same time, and we would just go and immerse into the sea, head under, and that's what helped us get through that time. So I think, given that there is so much loss round about just now, I think there's never been a better time to really help you manage that stress of grief. And if somebody's very sick in your home, you're looking after them or you're worried about them, it's just a powerful way, isn't it, to basically to reset your system.
It's the awareness now. Everybody's online doing this now, and a lot of people will say to me, like, I'm crazy and I'm this and I'm that and the next thing. But when I actually did start out, there wasn't anybody else doing it. Like, so they really were saying, Gemma, what on earth are you doing? And I'm just so glad that I've found the method that works for me. And I've been in many retreats. I've tried different types of healing, different types of therapy, different types like sound baths, shamanic drumming, all sorts of meditation and prayer. So when I got really deeply, heavily involved in some groups actually, and we were just more so doing the cold water, so it wasn't that safe at the time when I look back, but it was definitely a great starting point for me. And then of course I found the Wim Hof method itself, and for me there's just no other therapy. And when I had a friend phone me up today saying she wasn't well, you know, I was like, right, I'll be around at your house at 4 o'clock and we're going to get you sorted. And that was it. It's instant relief, and it's instant. It's like so powerful. So we'll find out how she gets on tomorrow when she wakes up. But you know, so it's just for me. I just feel so passionate about sharing my message and my journey. And also, just on that note, I still struggle every day, every week, and it's the only method for me.
Yeah, I think you know, I got a bit lazy earlier this year, and I wasn't doing it. My golden rule always was, you go in. If I'm in Argyll, I've got to go in, and I just stick to that. It's just one of these things that I do. But I kind of let that slip a little bit this year, and then I hadn't really, you know, very often it's not until you stop doing something you realise how much it was helping you. Because in general, I wouldn't be using it for mental health. I'd use it for performance, for, you know, to get even more energy. But boy, when you're struggling, you know, going in every day for me is just a no-brainer. And obviously it's free. Well, if you've got the sea, you've got a cold shower, you know, you can do the cold water without any real expense or hassle, really. And it doesn't take long. You know, a lot of things you're looking for an hour, or maybe you have to go to a class or whatever, but cold water, you can definitely make that a habit by yourself. But let's talk about the breath work. What is so, you know, tell us about, because you went and trained, obviously. Where was it you trained? Out in Poland?
Yeah, I did. I trained in Poland. I've been to, so I also, I went to Wim Hof's house actually. Mm-hmm. And that's when the first time I had experienced such magic, I can say, when I was in a room full of people. So I had been doing the breath work on my own, but when I went actually out to Wim Hof's house and I participated maybe with 60 other people, I actually felt so high that I could have flew home right back to Scotland at the end of the trip. So when I got into the breath work and the collective breath work, I just realised that there was a different magic and a different power in that, and also with the connections and with the energy. And then just learning all the different techniques, because Wim Hof doesn't just have one technique, he's got quite a few. So that's when I just thought, right, this is it. This is what I have to teach. So for me, I do breath work. I try to make it daily, but I'm definitely doing my breath work every other day. But when I'm in a room, it's just different class. And I would say that in terms of mental health, if I've not practiced the method for, let's just say, 6 days or so, I can feel a real dip. And I especially learned that this year when I went on holiday earlier on in the year, and I thought, I feel terrible when I come back. And it was because I hadn't been practicing my breath work or the cold exposure or the cold water. Mm-hmm. So the breath work itself is just very, very powerful, and there's just so many benefits. But what Wim Hof says is feeling is understanding. So it's definitely something that we could talk about all night, Lilia, but you really have to feel it to believe it, and also to reap the benefits as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell us the difference between with the ice bath, because I know a lot of people get cold, and I include myself in this. You know, I usually go in the sea, but I also have got fresh water around here. I can break the ice in the canal or in the river along there. And, you know, if it gets that frosty, you just get a different buzz. I want to say electric shock, but the nicest electric shock that you get, you're just kind of like, well, that's the way it feels for me when I do an ice bath. Can you talk a bit about the ice baths?
Basically, there's a lot of science that surrounds the breath work. So this is all evidence-based. And if you're doing the breath work and you're participating in, let's just say, 2 or 3 rounds of breath work, the special technique that I teach and the Wim Hof Method is basically, it's about changing the chemistry of your blood, your brain, your body and your soul. So ultimately, if you were to look at any of my videos, it looks like I'm walking into the water effortlessly. And the reason is because I've got my body ready and I've changed my blood to alkaline. I've changed the chemistry of my blood and my brain so that I can mentally be able to get into that water, not a problem at all. But you're getting the benefit anyway of the cold water if it's, say, 16 degrees or under. So when you're seeing all these people that are going in at 2 degrees, 3 degrees, they're going to get the benefit anyway, even if they were going in at like 10, 11, 12, because the body is just a fascinating thing. And you're always talking about the cells, and it's really funny because when I'm doing the breath work and when I'm teaching the breath work, I'm thinking about the trillions of cells that we have, what they're doing, what's happening. So it's a perfect combination. If you can do the breath work, then you do the cold. It's just like the ultimate perfect therapy. And it's just, it's, as I say, feeling is understanding, as Wim would teach us to tell people. But yeah, so it's just about changing up that chemistry of your mind, your body, your soul and your spirit. And that's where you find a lot of the, for me, the stillness.
Yes, absolutely. That's it. Because I think, well, I know when I started, and I know that when you're in the cold, the body starts to obviously excrete the good stress hormones, and the pain receptors start to shut down because the body's obviously thinking, what the hell? We need to try and preserve life here. So it actually goes through these processes to keep you alive. And I used to think I was just going numb, when I would get the ease of being in after whatever it is, 90 seconds or up to 3 minutes, whatever. I thought, well, as soon as I go numb, then it's okay. It stops being unpleasant. Because when I started at first, I used to scream with the pain.
Lilia, when I went into the ice bath tonight, I actually let out a yelp because it is uncomfortable at first. But when I'm in Skye, I'm going to be teaching a lot about the studies, a lot about the science. I'm going to be teaching a lot about like Wim Hof's evidence that he has. About all the different studies that have been produced and what's actually happening. So I'm not wanting to give too much away tonight, but what I would say is Wim Hof says this shit works and the science is there, and that's what I'll be teaching. But what I will say is I do feel sometimes, I feel like when I see people, especially the swimming community of people, I see them getting changed really fast when they come out the water. And I think to myself, your blood leaves your hands and your feet and basically your arms and your legs to protect your core of your body. So that's what you were talking about earlier. So when you're coming out the water and you're trying to scramble to get yourself all hot again, your body's still trying to work out what on earth's happened. So it's quite good to just take a wee bit of time after you come out the cold water, usually doing the horse stance. That's not the horse dance, but the horse stance is a really good one for getting all the blood back to your fingers and back to your toes effortlessly without giving your heart any stress. So all in all, it's a massive cardiovascular workout. Really, really ranked up the metabolism for me tonight. I was really hungry after my cold water therapy. So it's just, it's absolutely phenomenal. But they are the things I'm going to be sharing when I get to Skye. And also in my workshops, I just talk a lot more about what's relevant. Because in the room there might be people with different conditions, and therefore I can teach them the science surrounding their condition and how it would be beneficial for them and what the benefits would be and what they're actually feeling. But some people, if anybody's just wanting to do the breath work and the cold water and get the therapy, they maybe don't need to know the science. They just need to know it's making them feel better. So it's just about keeping it fun, keeping it relevant, and making sure that everybody knows that there's somebody there that's trained and qualified, that knows all the information and also can be able to deal with anything, because sometimes emotions come up. And my two ladies tonight, emotions came up for one of them during the breath work. So one of the ladies was quite emotional, and then me and one of the other ladies, we were just really quite high. So different people can get different feelings as well. So I hope that answers that one.
Yeah,
I was away off on a tangent.
Depends what's going on in your life at the time as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, what can come up, and also, I mean, I've been doing it for, I don't know, 7 years or something. That I bought the book and started doing it, and it can be different every time. And obviously, I always talk about that one that we did at the festival in Skye was the most powerful breathwork I've ever experienced. I don't know, there's a great crowd there, but we get a great crowd at Tarbert as well. I mean, I've had lots of great experiences, but that one was like total breakthrough. And obviously the power of the land and the power of the collective. And where we're going to be, obviously, in Sligokin in Skye, at the foot of the Coolins, the views are jaw-dropping. There's a river there. We've got John Angus, the chef, master chef, going to be cooking all the food for us. I mean, it's just going to be an absolutely phenomenal experience. And yeah, so people can come and stay, obviously. We have 5 twin rooms, and we have 3 doubles, but one has actually got a single bed, so it can sleep 3. So people can come. It's a bit extra if you want your own room. Obviously, if you want the room to yourself, it makes more sense financially if you want to share, but that's completely up to you. So it's on the Heal Scotland page. I'll share the link, actually. I'll just get it right now and put it in, because we don't actually have a tab on the website for it yet, but we're getting one, so that everybody can have a look and book their place. And also we're going to be able to offer a few places to the locals that can come and try the Wim Hof Method. I was talking to Gary Young earlier, and I was just saying, you know, that because we live in this world, we just assume that, well, everybody knows how to do it now. Everybody's done it. But they absolutely haven't. And I was teaching somebody to do some diaphragmatic breath work, and they'd never done that before. And I was like, what? So there's still a very niche market. So, and it's something that, as you know, Heal Scotland, we're passionate about making sure that everybody knows how to breathe. Everybody knows the power of the cold, so that they've got these really powerful protocols and therapies at their fingertips to navigate this crazy, crazy time that we're living in. So
it's sorry, Lilia, I just want to add to that. When you actually travel to Skye, you've got limited phone signal, and I feel that you really are on a retreat, and you really are. Like, it felt really, really extra special. It was the surroundings, it was the area, it was the community, it was the air we were breathing. The Skye really was. I'm feeling so blessed to be part of this mission, and also part of the teachings. But also, when people sign up for this workshop, I want to make my teachings all very relevant. So I don't want to be talking about what I think is important. I want to be talking about every single person and what's important for them and what challenges they've had, and how the Wim Hof Method can actually be an advantage to each and every single participant. So it's about making it just so unique and so personal, because there really is something in the method for absolutely everybody, and a lot of magic. And as you know, I've got a lot of power in the room when I'm leading the breath work. And it's funny because you said this firecracker, and I thought, you know something, I've had quite a lot of feedback on my teaching, and a lot of people say they feel safe, because when you're doing the breath work, you can lose yourself. Yeah. And they say when I'm leading the breath work, they feel very safe, very protected, to be able to go into that deeper part and just go to places that they might not be able to go by just using a YouTube or something at home. And also they feel safe, they feel protected, and they feel in good hands. So that's the feedback that I've had for myself personally. So I just want to also say this is going to be a very personal experience for each and every single person who signs up to this retreat, or even the day.
Yeah, you're right. I think there definitely is people, there can be fear around it, because it is a form of letting go and you don't really know what's going to come up emotionally. And if you're suppressing a lot of stuff, well, look out. But also, you can't over egg the importance of doing it in a group. There is just nothing to touch it. I mean, I do every morning, I do it myself. I do a lot I know you breathe with Sandy too, and I've got my own recordings that I do. And, you know, sometimes I go for it, sometimes I do something more gentle. But you just can't get that high that you get when you're doing it as a collective. It's quite magical. So
it really is. Oh, sorry.
The group intention, you know, when you come on a retreat and everybody wants the best, you know, you meet new people, you make new friends, and everybody wants the best for everybody else. So there's a really, you know, really kind of altruistic intention going into it. But also I want you to talk about the science a little bit, because we've got a lot of this science because of Wim Hof. Because obviously they initially thought this guy's a freak. He holds it. Well, it used to be 26 world records. I'm not sure what the total is now. It doesn't matter. He knows the world records don't matter, but he also knew if I break a world record, people will pay attention. And his big mission is we all have the power to do this. We can hack systems that we previously thought we couldn't hack. We can use our mind to control what the body's doing. And he's a living, breathing, absolutely epitome of that. So they took him into a university, of course, that, you know, to try and test them. And that's really where we got a lot of the science from. And then obviously the famous study did when they injected, I can't remember how many people, it was 100 people. And
yeah, he's done many studies, but the thing was the endotoxin study was when they injected them with the E. coli, but they also injected other participants, and then they had some using the breathwork technique and the mindset technique, and they were just basically breathing, you know, they were just breathing and then making sure that they get rid of the infection, whereas the other people were feeling sick, sweating and having a terrible time. So he was just showing that he wasn't a superhuman himself, that everybody has this capacity. Yeah, and that is one of the studies that I talk about, but I also talk about his mind over body study as well, and he's got quite a few other studies due to be released pretty soon, I would say. So he's got a lot of studies happening in Australia just now, so I think he's just waiting on the right time. But I think Wim Hof's very, very interesting, because I went and studied not just Wim Hof, I studied many other techniques. And for me, I was on a call recently with all the Wim Hof instructors, and some of them are oxygen advantage instructors as well. And I said, you know, guys, what's the difference for you when you're teaching the other techniques as opposed to the Wim Hof? And they says basically the other techniques are a wee scalpel, whereas Wim Hof is a sledgehammer to the deepest part to solve all the problems, and it's probably one of the fastest and most effective. But it isn't for everybody. But I tell you, if you want to transform completely, or you want to get right into the deepest part, or you want to learn that coping mechanism, if you should need it, then the Wim Hof method, that's why I went back to invest everything I had into becoming an instructor of that method alone, because it was the only method for me. And because I'm a firecracker, I've already got a lot of energy, so I needed something effective and quick that works. So that's why I'm just so committed to sharing the love and the power. And as Wim says, it's all about being happy, strong and healthy, and it ticks all those boxes.
And this is a man who, you know, lost his wife to suicide, and like me is very averse. He believes that it was the pharmaceutical drugs that took her to that place. And, you know, his mission is to wake people up to the innate healing power within. And, you know, I've got nothing but absolute gratitude and respect for what he's brought to me. And as you say, it's not for everybody, but what I love about it is the simplicity. And, you know, people want to go, you know, mine's better, or you can't do that. No, just breathe in and out. He just keeps it so simple. He wants everybody to get it. And there's still so many people haven't even tried it yet. So if you're watching this, or if you're watching it in replay, please come and join us. let somebody who's maybe never tried this breath work, send them the message, send them the information, see if you can just inspire them to try it one time, because we can talk all night about breath work and cold water and nature and the power that's right there in the land for helping us to heal. But it's got to be the experience. Once you've done that workshop, you understand what it is you're doing. Because I do think, I don't need the science. I jump in the cold and I'm like that. I know how I feel. I don't need any expert to tell me. But I think the science, I do like to understand. I'm like, right, that's what's happening. I learned all the science after I'd been doing it for ages, because
that's the same here. And I encouraged a man. Actually from Troon. He didn't want to come to a class, and he didn't want to get in the swimming pool full of ice in front of anybody. But he came and he had a private one-to-one with me after one of my sessions. I think it was 2 weeks ago. And then after it, he was telling me how he can't create white blood cells and how he's had a splenectomy and that he often worries about getting infections and things like that. And in actual fact, I just went onto my Wim Hof community. I found out loads of information from other people that have had the very same thing happening. And in terms of the immune system, the cardiovascular system, all the systems, hormone system, respiratory system, absolutely everything. So he actually, once I sent him all this evidence, because he was like wanting to see the evidence, he actually has sent me a message just recently saying he cannot actually believe that he's been basically disregarding all the information all this time, thinking that it wasn't even applicable to him because it was maybe not safe. So there's so much, and that's why I want to make it so personal for each and every single person, and including people that have got any conditions that are private, and they don't even want to share with anybody. Then I actually, if I don't know about it myself, I've got a network of people that I can find out pretty much within an hour of somebody in the world that's had that condition, or they've cured themselves from whatever illness it is. But ultimately, it's just changing absolutely everything and making sure that everybody knows that they have that power, and it's inside their own body, and it's there and it's free.
Exactly.
It's just amazing.
It's crazy that we're only just discovering about. My friend's just back from India, and he said, how they've known all this and they've practiced all this for bloody centuries. Why have we not known? How have we lived without understanding this stuff? It's crazy, isn't it? It annoys me I got to the stage that nobody taught me when I was young.
But see, the thing is, Lilia, see if I didn't have that in 2019, I don't even know if I've accepted it at all yet, but if I didn't have that level of actually I cannot cope, and I was away searching, when people are going about their day-to-day business and they've not really thought about their health, or they've not really thought about it, I think that it shouldn't take getting to a place where you're in that sort of state of despair before you're having to learn about it. If it was just become knowledge, common knowledge, and a daily practice, or even a weekly practice, then it would just create, I think, just all round magic.
Absolutely.
I think the world would just be a better place.
And I think as well, even if you don't want to do the ice, in some health conditions, ice may not be the right thing at certain times, but the breath work you can always do. There's very, very rarely you can't do the breath work. Although I have seen some people with vertigo, and it just gets them in a bit of a panic. So, but the breath work, really, if you're too scared of ice, still come and learn the breath work. And very often, I don't know if you found this, but when I take people through the breath work, they start off saying, I'm not going in the river. And then they go in. After they've done the breath work, they go from I can't to I can. I had a woman in a retreat there. She went in every day. It was quite amazing. And she just left. She was buzzing. She said, I'm so inspired, because a lot of it is, we've all got that power inside, but we've been kowtowed and made to believe that we're powerless and we're weak, and there's nothing could be further from the truth. And that's what I think is great. I remember when I first saw people doing the cold water in Ireland years ago, and it was November and it was freezing, and I was looking and it was windy and stormy. And I was like, they're mad. And then I thought, no, they're getting something out of that I don't understand, because you would not do that unless there was a big payback. And that was when the seed was planted, and it took me a wee while to get onto it. But yeah, I realised then.
Lily, I was watching you. I was watching you in the early days, thinking that. And then it's funny because the Wim Hof Method is made of 3 pillars. So the first one is the breathing and the breath work. The second is the code, and the third is the commitment. And it's very, very interesting because still to this day, I can do my breath work, I can do the code, but it's the commitment, and it's sticking to that commitment, the daily commitment to feeling amazing yourself. And I just feel so much clarity. It's almost as if somebody's just cleaned the windscreen and I can actually see, oh my goodness, like there's, you know, so many answers that can be found. And even although I'm an instructor and I'm level 1 instructor, I feel so proud. I feel so proud to be able to teach, and I feel so proud to actually know about it. I feel so blessed, and Wim is wanting to change the world. And he's wanting there to be just as many Wim Hof instructors as there are physiotherapists. And he's just like on a mission, and I feel that way too. So it's just such a great pleasure. And what I was talking about earlier to you before we came on was, if anybody is looking for a Christmas present for somebody that has everything, then I think like this would be the absolute best gift ever for anybody to get. So if anybody's watching this and they want to gift somebody, I think that would be a priceless gift.
Absolutely. Great idea. Great idea. Because people have got everything now. You know, it's experiences we're after, you know, and new friends and new inspiration, new networks. As people move, you know, into these different states of consciousness, it's really important to find your tribe. So, well, that is awesome. So when will I see you again? I don't know when I'll see you.
I'm not sure, because the days are flying by. I'm like thinking, oh my goodness. You will see me. We will see each other again soon. But what I want to say to anybody thinking about the retreat or thinking about Skye, please ask us any questions, anything at all, because I haven't been to the location that we're going to be staying in this time, but I have met John. I've never ate as healthy in my life. So I'm going to be looking forward to the connections. And also I get just as much out of teaching it as the participants are getting that are receiving it. It's a proper exchange of energy, healing, and also, as you're saying, new friends. Going into the new year, new intentions, new friends, new hobbies. So yeah, please ask us any questions at all.
Yeah, and if you're watching this on replay, just pop your message in the box and we'll catch up with you. So, okie dokie. Right, well, it's what's the time now? Yeah, that's after 8:30. So I will let you go and rest up after your... And that's the other thing I was going to say. Well, obviously you're running workshops in Troon every Sunday. Is that right?
So so workshops in Troon every second Sunday just now, and there's one every second Sunday as well in Maybole. And I'm also looking for opportunities. I would quite like to be doing some work in and around health centres, and maybe creating some Wim Hof workshops on other people's retreats or at health centres. I think that this should become part of, you know, when you look at like fitness centres, like they've got yoga, they've got Pilates, they've got step classes and so on and so forth. I would love to see a lot more breathwork classes springing up as part of people's memberships for different sports clubs and things like that. So yeah, I'm just looking out for things like that. I think it should be something that just falls into the same category as a workout, because you know what, it really is actually a workout, except you're lying down and you're working you're working out your brain, and you're really making that change in your body. And it also helps for fitness as well. So I would really love to see that happening personally, locally.
And if or even wanted to hire you privately, you can do that as well.
Absolutely. So the 2 ladies that I was seeing tonight, I actually created a personal fundamentals workshop for them. maybe about a month ago. So when they called me today, I just jumped round and done the kind of very same, except I shortened it this time for this evening. So if anybody wants a private session or me to come to their house, so long as I can travel there, you know, I can do private workshops, because more and more just now, yes, you've got a lot of power in the big, you know, the big breath work and the big ice bath, but there's a lot of people that are thinking, Gemma, I don't want to get into a swimming suit in front of people, or I don't want to do this. So by all means, absolutely, private workshops, not a problem.
And you're going to be at Tarbert, and you're going to be at Skye Festival?
Of course.
Fantastic. That's great.
That was the highlight of my year. When I'm sitting doing my gratitude, Lilia, I can't believe we're at the end of the year. And two of the best experiences for me this year, so I qualified last November actually. So I've been qualified now for about a year. It's pretty much like when you learn to drive and then you go out on the road for yourself. So Tarbert, I'm ever so grateful for Tarbert. It was one of my best favourite weekends, even though the weather wasn't on our side. But Skye had the magic. And yes, so I'm excited. I'm excited to participate in them next year as well.
Yeah. So our Skye Festival's around the 26th of March, and then Tarbert Festival's the 12th, 14th of April. So lots of opportunities to meet you and to breathe with you and to get into the ice bath. So thank you so much for your time tonight. And I'll give you a chat and we can hook up before the festive season. Okay, honey.
Excellent. Thanks. Thank you to everybody that took the time as well to watch this evening. Thank you so much. Thank you.